Okay, we just
Hi
started.
there, guys. It's um, the fucking Alan show with Alan, Project, uh, hashtag Bring Back Fred, Emeraldo, and the Jam.
Yeah.
Hello.
I hope you had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Hopefully the big goblin, the big Christmas goblin didn't drag you to hell.
You're
I hope
talking.
Krampus didn't throw you in his sack and throw you in the river.
No, I think he drags people to hell.
Oh yeah.
That's what Krampus does.
I've never
Oh.
heard of Krampus. Who's Krampus?
Krampus is the ancient Germanic legend
He's this
that
big
is
fucking goblin that takes takes you when you're a little shit all year and drags you to hell.
It's a native legend. Is that what it is?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's Germanic. Yeah. Yeah, they did make a movie about it. And then they made a off-brand version of said movie. Yeah, they did make a movie.
I got a new
And then they
fucking
made a
microphone.
off-brand
I
version.
I got a whole
It's a
headset.
native legend. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Uh
You showed me yesterday. Actually, so did I. Also got a new headset, but I decided to go with my older microphone because I sounded very
see the
unusual
weird
in the
thing
new
about
headset.
fuck, sorry. You were saying?
I sound very unusual in the new headset microphone, and I decided to stick with the old one.
So do I, but I decided to prove it anyways. But here's the thing.
Hmm.
It picks up my lower ranges. The microphone picks up my lower ranges. At least that's what Alan says. That's what Alan says. Fuck. Fuck. I pronounce things like shit when the fucking when I don't sleep very well. But apparently it also picks up like the higher frequencies on my headphones.
Like you hear higher frequencies.
Yeah.
The Jam, are you ready to start?
Yes I am.
Okay. Um, if you will, I want you to head us off.
Alright. Billy Pilgrim could not sleep on his daughter's wedding night. He was 44. The wedding had taken place that afternoon in a gaily striped tent in Billy's backyard. The stripes were orange and black. Billy and his wife, Valencia, nestled like spoons in their big double bed. They were jiggled by magic fingers. Valencia didn't need to be jiggled to sleep. Valencia was snoring like a bandsaw. The poor woman didn't have ovaries or a uterus anymore. They had been removed by a surgeon by one of Billy's partners in the new Holiday Inn. There was a full moon. Billy got out of bed in the moonlight. He felt spooky and luminous, felt as though he were wrapped in cool fur that was full of static electricity. He looked down at his bare feet. They were ivory and blue. Billy now shuffled down his upstairs hallway, knowing he was about to be kidnapped by a flying saucer. The hallway was zebra striped with darkness and moonlight. The moonlight came into the hallway through doorways of the empty rooms of Billy's two children. Children no more. They were gone forever. Billy was guided by dread and the lack of dread. Dread told him when to stop. Lack of it told him when to move again. He stopped. He went into his daughter's room. Her drawers were dumped. Her closet was empty. Heaped in the middle of the room were all the possessions she could not take on a honeymoon. She had a princess telephone extension all the way down her windowsill. A tiny nightlight stared at Billy. Then it rang. Billy answered. There was a drunk on the other end. Billy could almost smell his breath, mustard gas, and roses. It was a wrong number, and Billy hung up. There was a soft drink bottle on the windowsill. Its label boasted that it contained no nourishment whatsoever. Billy Pilgrim padded downstairs on his blue and ivory feet. He went into the kitchen where the moonlight called his attention to a half bottle of champagne on the kitchen table, all left from the reception in the tent. Somebody had stopped it again. Drink me, it seemed to say. So Billy uncorked it with his thumbs. It didn't make a pop. The champagne was dead. So
So
it
it
goes.
goes.
Billy looked at the clock on the gas stove. He had an hour to kill before the saucer came. He went into the living room, swinging the bottle like a dinner bell, turned on the television. He came slightly unstuck in time, saw the late movie backwards and then forwards again. It was a movie about American bombers in the Second World War and gallant men who flew them. Seen backwards by Billy, the story went like this. American planes full of holes and wounded men and corpses took off backwards from an airfield in England. Over France, a few German fighter pilots' planes flew at them backwards, sucked bullets and shell fragments from the planes and crewsmen. They did the same for wrecked American bombers on the ground. Those planes flew up backwards to join the formation. The formation flew backwards over a German city that was in flames. The bombers opened up their bomb bay doors, exerted a miraculous magnetism which shrunk the fires, scattered them into cylindrical steel containers, and lifted the containers into the bellies of the planes.
The containers were stored neatly in racks. The Germans below had miraculous devices of their own, which were long steel tubes. They used them to suck more fragments from the crewmen and planes. But there were still a few wounded Americans, though, and some of the bombers were in bad repair. Over France, though, German fighters came up again, made everything and everybody good as new. And I believe this is the chapter where they introduced the alien creatures things.
Yeah, I believe so.
Hey, horror fanatic.
Hey.
Yo.
So this is Billy going backwards in time again? Is that what it is?
Well, Billy's watching the firebombing of Dresden in reverse.
Right. I mean, as the chapter begins.
Let's show the Necrotata video.
What are you talking about?
Hold on. Fuck, I used to have a video of Necrotata sex tape. Oh, never mind, I found it. It's in hell, so you guys can watch it.
Also, is this the first time we're hearing of Billy's wife?
I think we heard of his wife in the first chapter.
Oh, right. Wait, did we? I feel like I have to get settled into reading the book again because we took such a long break.
Yeah, I'm well, sorry about that.
It's fine. When the bombers got back to their base, the steel cylinders were taken from the racks, and shipped back to the United States of America, where factories were operating night and day, dismantling the cylinders, separating the dangerous contents into minerals. Touchingly, it was mainly women who did this work. The minerals were then shipped to specialists in remote areas. It was their business to put them into the ground, to hide them cleverly so that they would never hurt anybody ever again. The American Flyers turned in their uniforms, became high school kids, and Hitler turned into a baby. Billy Pilgrim posed. That wasn't in the movie. Yeah, makes sense. Billy was extrapolating. Everybody turned into a baby. and all humanity, without exception, conspired biologically to reproduce two perfect people named Adam and Eve, he supposed. And this is the second time Adam and Eve is referenced in the book, right? The first time was with the German shoulders. German shoulder. German
Oh yeah, when
soldiers.
he was looking into the shoes.
Yeah. They saw Adam and Eve in the dirt. That's what it was.
That's correct.
Billy saw the war movies backwards, then forwards, and then it was time to go out into his backyard to meet the flying saucer. Out he went, his blue and ivory feet crushing the wet salad of the lawn. He stopped, took a swig of the dead champagne. It was like 7 up. He would not raise his eyes to the sky, though he knew there was a flying saucer from Tralfamadore up there. He would see it soon enough, inside and out, and he would see, too, where it came from soon enough. Soon enough. Overhead he heard the cry of what might have been a melodious owl. But it wasn't a melodious owl. It was a flying saucer from Tralfamadore, navigating in both space and time, therefore seeming to Billy Pilgrim to have come from nowhere all at once. Somewhere, a big dog barked, and this is the second time a dog is barking in the book. The first time was, I don't remember the first time. It was in chapter 2, right?
Yeah, that sounds right. That does sound right.
But yeah. Let's just take a note of that one then. The saucer was 100 feet in diameter, with portholes around its rim. The light from the portholes was pulsing purple. The only noise it made was the owl song. It came down to hover over Billy, and to enclose him in a cylinder of pulsing purple. Enclose him in a cylinder of pulsing in purple light. Now there was the sound of a seeming kiss as airlight hatch in the bottom of the saucer opened. Down snaked a ladder that was outlined in pretty lights, like a Ferris wheel. Billy's will was paralyzed by a zap gun aimed at him from one of the portholes. It became imperative that he take hold of the bottom rung of the sinus ladder, which he did. The rung was electrified so that Billy's hands locked onto it hard. He was hauled into the airlock, and machinery closed the bottom door. Only then did the ladder, wound onto a reel in the airlock, let him go. Only then did Billy's brain start working again. There were two peepholes inside the airlock with yellow eyes pressed to them. There was a speaker on the wall. The Tralfamadorians had no voice boxes. They communicated telepathically. They were able to talk to Billy by means of a computer and sort of electric organ which made every earthling speech sound. "Welcome aboard, Mr. Pilgrim," said the loudspeaker. "Any questions?" Billy licked his lips, thought a while, inquired at last, "Why me?"
That is a very earthling question to ask, Mr. Pilgrim. Why you? Why us for that matter? Why anything? Because this moment simply is. Have you ever seen bugs trapped in amber? Yes, Billy, in fact, had a paperweight in his office, which was a blob of polished amber with 3 ladybugs embedded in it. Well, here we are, Mr. Pilgrim, trapped in the amber of this moment. There is no why. They introduced an aesthetic into Billy's atmosphere now, put him asleep. They carted him to a cabin where he was strapped to a yellow Barca lounger, which they had stolen from Sears and Roebuck warehouse. The hold of the saucer was crammed with other stolen merchandise, which would be used to furnish Billy's artificial habitat in a zoo on Tralfamadore. The terrific acceleration of the saucer as it left Earth twisted Billy's slumbering body, distorted his face, dislodged him in time, sent him back to the war. When he regained consciousness, he wasn't on the flying saucer. He was in a boxcar crossing Germany again. Some people were rising from the floor of the car and others were lying down. Billy planned to lie down too. It would be lovely to sleep. It was black in the car and black outside the car, which seemed to be about 2 miles an hour. The car never seemed to go any faster than that. It was a long time between the clicks, between joints in the track. There would be a click, and then a year would go by, and there would be another click. Train often stopped to let really important trains ball and hurtle by. Another thing it did stop when sidings near prisons, leaving a few cars there. It's creeping across all of Germany, growing shorter all the time. And Billy let himself down oh so gradually, how hanging onto the diagonal cross brace in the corner in order to make himself nearly weightless to those he was joining on the floor. He knew it was important that he made himself nearly ghost-like when lying down. He had forgotten why, but a reminder soon came. Pilgrim, said a person he was about to nestle with. Is that you? Billy didn't say anything, but nestled very politely, closed his eyes. God damn it, said the person. That you, isn't it? Sat up and explored Billy rudely with his hands. Is you alright? Get the hell out of here. Now Billy sat up, too wretched to close ears. Get out here, I want sleep. Shut up, somebody else, said somebody else. I'll shut up when Pilgrim gets away from me. So Billy stood up again and hung close to the brace. Where can I sleep? He asked quietly. Not with me. Not with me, you son of a bitch, said somebody else. You yell, you kick. I do. Goddamn right you do. And whimper. I do. Keep the hell away from here, Pilgrim.
Billy Pilgrim, that's his name.
Yes.
Can you give me a moment to check the live stream?
Oh, yes, of course.
I want to see if the audio is coming through.
Train often stopped to let really important trains quietly. Not with me. Not with me, you son of a bitch, said somebody else. You yell, you kick. Moments.
Then, only then did the... Okay, we're good. Everything's alright.
Oh, yeah, I was at the end of that one page.
Yeah. I'm just going through it a bit again
Okay, yeah, that's just fine.
for context. And now there was an acrimonious mardigil? Acrimonious. Are you familiar with that word?
I'm not, but I'll look it up real quick.
Mardigil is like a type of song.
Bitter and sharpened language or tone. So like rancorous.
Hmm.
Bounding in acrimosity or crudeness. So very harsh speech. And I
Uh,
think a madrigal, that is a type of song, is it not?
yeah, it says originally used of genre of 14th century Italian song.
Madrigal.
And now there was an acrimonious madrigal, with parts sung in all quarters of the car. Nearly everybody, seemingly, had an atrocity story of something Billy Pilgrim had done to them in his sleep. Everybody told Billy Pilgrim to keep the hell away. And I'm guessing it's not an actual madrigal, it's just that everybody's chiming in right now. Is Kurt Vonnegut Italian? Why would he use the word madrigal?
Let me take a look. He's American.
Hmm.
I think madrigal is a beautiful word in its own right. So
Why not use it, I guess? Is that what you're saying?
no, I'd say well, it's a good word.
So Billy Pilgrim had to sleep standing up, or not sleep at all. And food had stopped coming through. Food had stopped coming in through the ventilators, and the days and nights were colder all the time. On the 8th day, the 40-year-old hobo said to Billy, and this is we're not in the boxcar anymore. I'm guessing that's why there's a paragraph break. Right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
On the 8th day, the 40-year-old hobo said to Billy, "This ain't bad. I can be comfortable anywhere." "You can?" said Billy. On the 9th day, the hobo died. So it goes.
So it goes.
His last words were, "You think this is bad? This ain't bad." There was something about death and the 9th day. There was a death on the 9th day in the car ahead of Billy's too. Roland Weary died of gangrene that had started in his mangled feet. So it goes.
So it goes. Sorry.
Weary, in his nearly continuous delirium, told again and again of the Three Musketeers, acknowledged that he was dying, gave many messages to be delivered to his family in Pittsburgh. Above all, he wanted to be avenged, so he said again and again that the name of the person who had killed him. Said again and again the name. Everyone in the car learned the lesson well. "Who killed me?" he would ask. And everybody knew the answer, which was this: Billy Pilgrim. Listen. On the 10th night, the peg was pulled out from the hasp of Billy's boxcar door, and the door was opened. Billy Pilgrim was lying at an angle on the corner brace, self-crucified, holding himself there with a blue and ivory claw hooked over the sill of the ventilator. Billy coughed when the door was opened, and when he coughed, he shit thin gruel. This was in accordance with the third law of motion, according to Sir Isaac Newton. This law tells us that for every action there is a reaction which is equal and opposite in direction. This can be very useful in rocketry. Um, this is an odd tangent. Do you have anything to say about this, the gem?
I feel like the way that this tangent's set up is it's kind of going along with Kurt Vonnegut's own sense of humor of juxtapositioning grisly scenarios with a very formal and proper way of explaining, well, the third law of motion.
Hmm. Okay. I guess it's a taste of Kurt Vonnegut's writing style then.
Well, I feel like his writing style actually lends to the book quite well. Where if you were to kind of take a look at, like, the grisly topic of war that's dressed up with, flowery words, that he's almost kind of encompassing the idea of a honorable war in this entire sentence. To, well, call a war honorable is much like using the third law of motion to describe the way that someone traps themselves while coughing.
Hmm. Would that also be similar to the Would that also be similar to the part where Billy steps out of the bush and sees Saint Elmo's fire on everybody? Is that similar? You remember that part?
Yeah, I remember that part. I don't remember the entire part, but that does sound like you're on the right track when you're saying that. Where you're saying Elmo's fire is a very, prestigious religious term that's being juxtapositioned with, I think the grizzly situation they were in at the time was, weren't they
They were
caught
being headed
by?
off.
Yes, exactly.
They were prisoners, and they were being led into the boxcar, right?
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Is this something that you picked up on, or is this something that you've read about before?
This is my words that I just came up with a few seconds ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I suppose. Who's that? Hey, Louis.
Yeah.
Getting back to the book. The train had a yes, Louis. The train had arrived on a sliding no. The train had arrived on a siding by a prison which was originally constructed as an extermination camp for Russian prisoners of war. The guards peeked inside Billy's car owlishly, cooed calmingly. They had never dealt with an American before, but they surely understood this general sort of fright. They knew that it was essentially a liquid which could be induced to flow slowly toward cooling and light. It was nighttime. Cooling and light. The only light outside came from a single bulb which hung from a pole high and far away. All was quiet outside, except for the guards, who cooed like doves, and the liquid began to flow. Gobs of it built up in the doorway, flopped to the ground. Billy was the next to last human being to reach the door. The hobo was the last. The hobo could not flow, could not flop. He wasn't liquid anymore. He was stone. So it goes.
So it goes. Right. Billy didn't want to drop from the car to the ground. He sincerely believed that he would shatter like glass, so the guards helped him down, gooing still. They set him down facing the train. It was such a dinky train now. There was a locomotive, a tender, and 3 little box cars. The last box car was the railroad's guards. Heaven on wheels. Again, and that heaven on wheels was the table set. Dinner was served. At the base of the pole from which the light bulb hung were 3 seeming haystacks. The Americans were weeded and teased over those 3 stacks, which weren't hay after all. They're overcoats taken from prisoners who were dead. So it goes.
So it goes.
It was the guards' firmly expressed wish that every American without an overcoat should take one. Coats were cemented together with ice, so the guards used their bayonets as ice picks, picking free collars and hems and sleeves and so on, then peeling off coats and handing them out at random. The coats were stiff and dome-shaped, having conformed to their piles. The coat that Billy Pilgrim got had been crimpled and frozen in such a way and was so small that it appeared to not be a coat, but a sort of large black 3-cornered hat. There were gummy stains on it, like crankcase strainings or old strawberry jam. There seemed to be a dead furry animal frozen to it. The animal was in fact the coat's fur collar. Billy glanced dully at the coats of his neighbors. Their coats all had brass buttons or tinsel or piping numbers or stripes or eagles or moons or stars dangling from them. There were soldiers' coats. Billy was the only one who had a coat from a dead civilian. So it goes.
So it goes.
And Billy and the rest were encouraged to shuffle around their dinky train into the prison camp. There wasn't anything warm or lively to attract them merrily along low, narrow sheds by the thousands, with no lights inside. Somewhere a dog barked with the help of fear and echoes and winter silences. The dog had a voice like a big brown gong.
Yeah, that's the exact line from before, from chapter 2. Right?
Yes, I believe so. Sorry. Someone was texting me.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're on Billy and the rest were wooed. That's what you're on.
Yeah, I got the position marked out. But yeah, that was the exact line, I believe so.
So are we finally encountered the dog, right? So there's gonna be no more dog, or is there gonna be more dog?
Oh no, the dog part is one of the parts I didn't quite pick up on when I first read it.
But
And
have we encountered the dog? This is the dog in the present time.
I do not think.
Are we ever
somewhere
gonna?
a dog bark.
Somewhere the dog barked, but are we in the place where the dog barked currently?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Right. Well, Billy and the rest were wooed through the gate after gate, and Billy saw his first Russian. The man was all alone in the night, a rag bag with a round, flat face that glowed like a radium dial. Billy passed within a yard of them. There was barbed wire between them. The Russian did not wave or speak. He looked directly into Billy's soul with sweet hopefulness. The Billy might have good news for him, news he might be too stupid to understand, but good news all the same. Billy blacked out as he walked through gate after gate. He came to what he thought might be a building on Tralfamador. It was shrilly lit and lined with white tiles. It was on Earth, though. It was a delousing station through which all the new prisoners had to pass. Billy did as he told, took off his clothes. That was the first thing they told him to do on Tralfamador, too.
Hmm.
The German measured Billy's upper right arm, and with his thumb and forefinger, asked the companion what sort of army would send a weakling like that to the front. They looked at the other American bodies now, pointed out a lot more than were nearly as bad as Billy's.
I gotta get up for a second. I'll be back.
Okay, sounds good.
du, du, du.
Do 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 da 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 do. Burner, burner, dun 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun. Da, 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 da.
The jam?
Yes, I'm here. Little.
Nothing. Oh, this may be a tangent, but have you heard of something called bibliomancy?
Uh, it sounds familiar. Let me take a
Hmm.
look.
Basically, if
Da, da.
you can open up to a random page in a book and place your finger and ask the book a question, and it will give you an answer if the text is rich enough. This is most commonly done with the Bible and other religious books.
Yeah.
Do you feel like because when I'm reading a paragraph out of context, like this one, the Russian did not waver or speak, but he looked directly into Billy's soul with sweet hopefulness. I feel like that's
Uh-huh.
something that's you know taken out from the context of the book. I feel like that's something that could answer any given question pretty much. So I feel like
Yeah,
this book is
I'd have
something.
to concur with you.
Yeah, this is the kind of book where you can do bibliomancy with. You don't think?
I think that, well, despite my lack of knowledge on what bibliomancy is, based on what you've told me about it, I feel like that'd be an accurate assessment.
Do you wanna do a live session?
Oh, sure, sure.
Okay, let me see. Uh, hmm. Do you have the book on hand?
I do.
Okay, we're gonna get to it after we're done with this chapter then. That sound good?
Yeah, of course.
One of the best bodies belonged to the oldest American by far, a high school teacher from Indianapolis. His name was Edgar Derby. He hadn't been in Billy's boxcar. He'd been in Roland Weary's boxcar. Had cradled Weary's head while he died. So it goes. Good job.
So it goes.
Derby was 44 years old. He was so old he had a son who was a Marine in the Pacific Theater of War. The Pacific Theater of War. What's is that a thing or is that a description? That
I feel like that's an allusion to the Eastern Front with Japan.
Hmm. Give me a second.
Because, well, this is
Yeah.
okay.
What? Where is
Oh,
this?
I was just saying,
Where is this taking place in time exactly?
World War II.
Ah,
Or wait, or was it World War One?
I don't. I can't recall exactly.
Yeah, that would be World War II because the bombing of Dresden occurred in World War II.
Hmm. Derby had pulled political wires to get into the army at his age. The subject he had taught in Indianapolis was contemporary problems in Western civilization. He also coached the tennis team and took very good care of his body. Derby's son would survive the war. Derby wouldn't. That good body of his would be filled with holes by a firing squad in Dresden in 68 days. So it goes.
So it goes.
Is that hashtag monkey618 situation there?
I don't know what monkey 618 is actually.
Well, it's a one body in 68 days. That's 168.
Oh, I think I see.
You're not familiar with the phrase, the jam?
No, I'm not.
I think you can find it in his TV tropes. If you look
Oh
harder.
yeah, I'll take a look at that.
I think the TV tropes page would be a more accurate description than I could give you of the situation. The worst American body wasn't Billy's. The worst body belonged to a car thief from Cicero. Is it Cicero or Cicero?
I'd say Cicero.
Cicero, Illinois. His name was Paul Lazaro. He was tiny, and not only were his bones and teeth rotten, but his skin was disgusting. Lazaro was polka-dotted all over with dime-sized scars. He had many plagues and boils. He had many plagues of boils. Lazaro, too, had been on Roland Weary's boxcar, and had given his words of honor to Weary that he would find some way to make Billy Pilgrim pay for Weary's death. He was looking around, wondering which naked human being was Billy. The naked Americans took their places under many shower heads along with a white tiled wall. There were no faucets that they could control. They could only wait for whatever was coming. Their penises were shriveled and their balls were retracted. Reproduction was not the main business of the evening. Again, this is Kurt Vonnegut's humor shining through. You think so?
Yes, I think so.
An unseen hand turned a master valve. Out of nowhere, the shower heads. Oh wait. Out of the shower heads gushed scalding rain. The rain was a blowtorch that did not warm. It jazzed and jangled Billy's skin without thawing the ice in the marrow of his long bones. The Americans' clothes were meanwhile passing through poison gas. Body lice and bacteria and fleas were dying by the billions. So it goes.
So it goes.
And Billy zoomed back in time to his infancy. He was a baby who had just been bathed by his mother. Now his mother wrapped him in a towel, carried him into a rosy room that was filled with sunshine. She unwrapped him, laid him on the tickling towel, powdered him between his legs, joked with him, patted his jelly belly. Her palm on his little jelly belly made clutching sounds. Billy gurgled and cooed. And then Billy was a middle-aged optometrist again, playing hackers golf. This time, on a blazing summer Sunday morning. Billy never went to church anymore. He was hacking with 3 other optometrists. Is hacking the word in the book, or is that is hacking the word
Yeah,
in
I
the?
think because well, it's golf, and I'd assume that's a golf phrase because
Ah,
well, I could
yeah.
yeah.
You would assume that it's a golf thing. That's what it is.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Billy was on the green in 7 strokes, and it was his turn to putt. It was an 8-foot putt, and he made it. He bent over to take the ball out of the cup, and the sun went behind a cloud. Billy was momentarily dizzy. When he recovered, he wasn't on the golf course anymore. He was strapped to a yellow contour chair in a white chamber aboard a flying saucer, which was bound for Tralfamadore.
Where am I? Said Billy Pilgrim. Trapped in another blob of amber, Mr. Pilgrim. We are where we have to be just now, 300 million miles from Earth, bound for a time warp which will get us to Tralfamadore in hours rather than centuries. How how'd I get here? It would take another Earthling to explain it to you. Earthlings are the great explainers, explaining why this event is structured as it is, telling how other events may be achieved or avoided. I'm a Tralfamadorian, seeing all time as you might see a stretch of rocky mountains. All time is all time. It does not change, it does not lend itself to warnings or explanations, it simply is. Taken moment by moment, you will find that we are all, as I've said before, bugs in amber. You sound to me as though you don't believe in free will, said Billy Pilgrim. If I hadn't spent so much time studying humans, said the Tralfamadorian, I wouldn't have any idea what was meant by free will. I visited one I've visited 31 inhabited planets in the universe, and I've studied reports on 100 more. Only on Earth is there any talk of free will.
Hmm.
And that's chapter 4. Noticeably shorter than the others.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
Speaking about the chapter, right? I think I'm beginning to understand uh, where exactly Kurt Vonnegut places "So It Goes." Yeah, the
Yeah.
phrase. It's after something dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Specifically in this chapter. He uses it.
Yes.
I think he uses it a lot more in this chapter.
Yeah, that is true.
But I don't know
That's
why.
well.
I'm not exactly sure if that's something that I would be able to go with, because I didn't pick up on it before. He may have only used "So It Goes" in that way in this chapter.
Well, I mean, he's always constantly used it as almost kind of an announcement of the passing of death.
Hmm.
So, if anything, I'd say, well, he's kind of staying consistent with his logic throughout, but you don't get to see the other side of the curtain of this logic until this chapter where you meet the Tralfamadorians.
And I was going to say something like that because the "it" that "So It Goes" is referring to is the same "it" that the Tralfamadorians are referring to, right? Passing of
Uh-huh.
time.
Yeah.
And I would also assume that the dog barking somewhere in time is the same kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I actually had not picked up on that myself, but I have a feeling with how many times there have been, well, the use of that same phrase, there's got to be some sort of meaning to it that you could attribute.
Hmm. Well, a Bronx gong is kind of like the bell in a steeple, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you want to do the bibliomancy now?
Oh yeah, we could do that real quick while we wait for the next chapter.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with the bibliomancy process?
Not entirely, but I have the book in front of me right now.
Okay. Well, let me see. Let me see if I can find something in tenor that might help. Okay. Do this with your hands. Try to do it in between your hands. Something like that. You get the
Oh yeah,
idea?
I can do that.
And then while you're doing that, while you're getting comfortable doing that, the point is to stop at a random point, and then without looking at the page, place your finger on it. Place your finger on the page without looking at it. And then read aloud whatever sentence or paragraph or word, whatever length you choose to use. You read that aloud. Are you getting the picture?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the only thing that's missing is a question. Do you have any ideas?
That's a good question.
You're gonna ask what question we should ask? Is that what we're gonna do?
Sure.
You know what? Go ahead.
What question shall we ask?
Dance. Dance. Dance, somebody.
In 2 days' time, now their families would learn from the International Red Cross that they were alive.
That's the sentence that you got.
Yes.
So what's gonna happen in 2 days? They will learn
I'll
from
think of a good question.
What? Can you read the sentence again?
In 2 days' time, now their families would learn from the International Red Cross that they were alive.
And the International Red Cross, what's that?
The International Red Cross is a medical organization in America. And while they dealt largely with the war effort at the time, of course.
Hmm.
Yeah.
The Red Cross was around back then?
Yeah, it's been around for a very long time.
Okay, I'm Googling December 28th, the Red Cross. Not much is coming up. That's an odd phrase to get. What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, I mean, considering my question was, what question should I ask? I'm assuming it means, like usually, I'll think of a really good question, but in 3 days' time, and I'll probably think of 2 good questions because they're both alive.
I don't get it. What are you saying?
Or maybe it's saying that the International Red Cross is gonna
Give.
contact me in 3 days and ask me to give them blood.
What was the thing? Would you actually give blood? What were you about to say?
Well, I mean, I've given blood before, and if you give them blood once, they're gonna have you on their mailing list for the rest of your life.
Oh. What was the last part of that sentence? Why were they alive? What was it exactly?
I think, like, in 3 days' time, the International Red Cross will notify their families that they're both alive.
That's the exact sentence?
Because I, lost the page.
Oh man. Well, I guess we'll read it when we get there, right?
Yeah.
And then
And is there any
what?
other questions among us?
Um.
Yo, bring back Frig. Bounce question.
Hashtag bring back Fred. Give us a question. Give us a question.
Just ask me a question that you'd like to know the answer to.
What's your favorite color?
All right, this will be interesting.
Hashtag bring back Fred. Are you familiar with the context that the question is in? Oh, you do know. Okay.
He said all this while staring into Billy's eyes. He made the inside of poor Billy's skull echo with balderdash. God be with you, boys.
And what color is Billy's eyes exactly? Is that something you know off the top of your head?
Well, let me see.
Well, I'll go in the book and search for eyes. Let's see. Oh,
He is an optometrist, so that's kind of interesting to have a reference to his eyes.
mm-hmm. Well, what is your favorite color?
I think my favorite color is purple.
Hmm.
And if I take a look at this, I guess there was a film adaptation to Slaughterhouse-Five in which the main character Billy Pilgrim was played by Michael Sachs, who has blue eyes. And I guess if you want to read into it, you could interpret, since this man is saying his last speech, he is dying, which is associated with blood. So if you mix blue eyes with red blood, then you get purple.
I guess you do. But if we do that, we're kind of looking for an answer. You know what I mean?
That is true, but that's a type of question that you I kind of have to look for an answer because
It's something very concrete. Your eyes are a
yes.
certain color or not.
All right, and then hey Project, you want to ask a question?
Is that the end?
No? Oh, hello,
Yeah.
Peyton.
Just ask a question.
Ask a question and then we're gonna ask the book.
We're gonna
know.
look in a book.
I'm sorry, I was not paying much attention. I was just doing some other shit.
Hmm.
I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry.
Hey, Lewis.
I want to play like Quiplash in like 2 hours.
I may have to go to bed.
2 hours. Holy fuck.
Yo, Pete, ask a
Hashtag bring back
question.
Fred is there.
Played just when Alan
Yeah, I know,
and
but I'm gonna be doing stuff. I'm gonna be doing like I'm gonna write YouTube shit.
Okay.
All creative stuff.
Bye, I probably won't be playing, but hashtag bring back Frid would like to play.
I'll be playing.
Right.
Peachen, would you like to ask a question, or would anyone here like to ask a question?
What is gay?
Oh, all right. That is acceptable, I suppose.
What is gay?
What's Rusty Cage doing right now? All right, this one's gonna be spicy.
Oh yeah.
This was only the beginnings of Billy's miseries in the metaphor. He was also strapped to a steel lattice, which was bolted to a flat car on rails, and there was no way he could turn his head or touch the pipe.
Okay. That's certainly a phrase.
Yeah, I have a feeling Rusty might be into BTSM.
The far end of the pipe rested on a bipod, which was also bolted to the flat car. All Billy could see was the dot at the end of the pipe. He didn't know he was on a flat car. Didn't even know there was anything peculiar about his situation. It seems like Rusty's in a place where he doesn't know where he is.
Oh. So he's at home.
Or is it more like that dog? That dog who's drinking the coffee in the fire, saying this is fine? Is that Rusty Cage right now?
Yeah, that may be Rusty Cage. Maybe this is a reference to his girlfriend choking him if a simp doesn't give her $100.
Why are you so quick to interpret this as a sexual reference?
Because the other day I saw a tweet that his girlfriend made saying that she was going to kill him if someone doesn't give him $100.
Okay. Bibliomancy, there's many ways to interpret the answers that you get, except for the last question that we did.
Yeah.
Well, and that was that. The Jam, how do you feel about this new development?
I feel like Rusty Cage is probably I don't know, in a situation.
Should we try to contact him?
Nah, I think he'll be good.
But how do you feel about bibliomancy specifically?
That's pretty cool.
Okay?
Yeah.
Would you be interested to pull this as a party trick in your bag of party tricks?
Oh yeah, I could use that, and I could take a look at other books to use as well, I guess. Yeah, I still need to read 451 Fahrenheit. That may or may not be a good book for it.
I read it in summer school way back when in the 6th grade, and I remember there's one thing specifically that I remember in the book is that the book had a description of headphones. It had a description of headphones way back when headphones didn't exist.
That is pretty cool.
So I think in the book, the author was writing about the future, and he had an idea for what was headphones, and he wrote it down. And I think he described it as portable C cells.
Huh.
That's
I guess.
That's the one thing I specifically remember about that book. But what were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say, I guess you could say that a lot of technology, the concept for it dates back a lot farther than a lot of us like to think, because heck, even while Da Vinci was coming up with ideas for even tanks in the Renaissance period.
And you've seen those before?
Yeah, I've seen these sketches before. Because he was never really able to get stuff like that to page. Or not page. He was never able to like get it into reality. But he was able to put it to paper.
Yeah. I mean, we can certainly put time machines on paper, but we can't exactly make them right now, right?
Yeah, I suppose you could put it like that.
We're on chapter 5.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Would you like to start reading, or should I?
Um, well, let's follow the page roll. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah, I was the last one that was reading. All right. Billy Pilgrim says the universe does not look like a lot of bright little dots to the creature from Tralfamador. The creatures can see where each star has been and where it is going, so the heavens are filled with rarefied, luminous spaghetti, and Tralfamadorians don't see human beings as two-legged creatures either. They see them as great millipedes with babies' legs at one end and old people's legs at the other, says Billy Pilgrim. Billy asked for something to read on the trip to Tralfamador. His captors had 5 million Earthling books on a microfilm, and no way to project them in Billy's cabin. They had only one actual book in English, which was to be placed on Tralfamadorian Museum. It was Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Suzanne. Billy read it, thought it was pretty good in spots. The people in it clearly had their ups and downs. Ups and downs. But Billy didn't want to read about the same ups and downs over and over again. He asked if there wasn't please some other reading materials around. Only Tralfamadorian novels, which I'm afraid you couldn't begin to understand, and said the speaker on the wall. Let me look at it one way. So they sent him in several. They're little things. Dozens of them had the bulk of the Valley of the Dolls with ups and downs, ups and downs. Billy couldn't read Tralfamadorian, of course, but he could at least see how the books were laid out in brief clumps of symbols separated by stars. Billy commented that the clumps might be telegrams. Exactly, said the voice.
Telegrams being a voice. What's it?
I think like a telegram is like a short message. So just like, like a few lines that start and end right there.
They are telegrams. There are no telegrams on Tralfamador, but you're right. Each clump of symbols is a brief, urgent message describing a situation, a scene. We Tralfamadorians read them all at once, not one after the other. There isn't any particular relationship between all the messages, except that the author has chosen them carefully, so that, when seen all at once, they produce an image of life that is beautiful and surprising and deep. There is no beginning, no middle, no end, no suspense, no moral, no causes, no effect. What we love in our books are the depths of many marvelous moments, seen all at one time. Moments after that, the saucer entered a time warp, and Billy was flung back into his childhood. He was 12 years old, quaking as he stood with his mother and father on Bright Angel Point, at the rim of Grand Canyon. The little human family was staring at the floor of the canyon, 1 mile straight down. Well, said Billy's father, manfully. Manfully? Is that a word?
It is now.
Oh yeah, you said that sometimes Kurt would make up a word.
Yeah.
I think the other word, his other word was flibbergibbet.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
What were you going to say?
Oh, well, I was going to say that, well, after reading that previous paragraph, do you think you have a slightly bigger understanding of what the book is going for?
You're talking about the telegrams thing, right?
Yes, yes.
I did have an idea of what the book was going for. After we saw that video, remember?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I
Um,
remember.
I feel like when he was describing Hamlet, how there was no up, it was just straight. Like even when something terrible would happen, it would be balanced out by recognizing that the terrible situation wasn't as terrible, or when something good happened, it wasn't that good, and it was also led to something terrible. When he was describing Hamlet, when Kurt was, I think Kurt is going for that straight line. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I guess what I was trying to bring up is, well, at least to me, I think the way that he described Tralfamadorian books is almost much like this book itself.
Hmm. I suppose, in a sense, I have to disagree. Because that's not how I see the book. Hmm.
And that's okay.
I guess in my own head, I'm trying to, in my own head, even though I may not acknowledge it, I'm trying to create a through line throughout all these separate descriptions and events.
There almost certainly is a through line, and I have a pretty good idea of what it is, but I feel like the way that it's all arranged has a, well, deliberate arrangement.
Yeah, but um, the gem.
Yes.
I think I have to end the stream here.
Oh, you will? Okay.
Yeah, because
You wanna?
my computer
was-
is
Oh,
dying right
fuck.
now. My laptop.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, man. It was cool. It was actually kind of relaxing.
The book reading. That's what you mean?
Yeah.
Alright, well,
If you look at the stream, I think you'll hear my computer making clong noises.
You guys done with Slaughterhouse yet?
Well, my computer evened out. It's not dying
Okay.
anymore.
Dang.
well,
I guess
that's a good development, I'd say.
Oh no, it's dying again. Yeah, I only have about like 4 minutes left. Or maybe,
Okay.
yeah, not so much.
Well, if you'd like, I'd already saved the page number that we were on,
Mhm.
so that's good.
I wanted to say, while I still have some time, no beginning, no end, no suspense, no moral, no causes, no effect. Do you think that Kurt actually was able to achieve this, since you read the whole book?
Well, that's kind of a hard question because, well, as much as I like to find some meanings to derive from it, those don't always feel completely concrete, and I feel like my thoughts on the book can almost shift from minute to minute. But there are a few things that seem to have stood a bit longer than others. But I would say that the idea of like multiple events arranged in a specific order with no like discernible like through line, at least your first time reading it, or possibly even like at all, is definitely what I was going for. Almost like the non-linearity of what some people would say like in Pulp Fiction,
Pulp
where
Fiction.
it's less Yes, yes. I'm not sure if you've watched that movie, but a good takeaway of it is it doesn't really matter where the beginning and the end is, just like the fact that all the events happened
Hmm.
and they happen in the very specific order laid out for viewers.
I I I I I don't know. While you're describing the Pulp Fiction thing, is that you're saying that what matters is that the story happened, and
Yeah.
and
Again, I might be like, well, a little bit wrong about this, but I guess it's my own personal interpretation of the works. And well, that's a great thing about art like this is that everyone can have their own interpretation.
I
And
yeah. What?
well, that's the beautiful part about art like that.
I don't know. I almost in a way I feel like my hands are too slimy. You know what I mean? Like, well, whenever I put my hands on a book or a story or a piece of, I don't know, media or art, I feel like I have to take it with me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think I understand what you're talking about.
when it says no morals, um, specifically, I feel like I have to disagree with it in a very I don't know. It can't settle in my head.
You
You know,
have to politely disagree.
I have to politely disagree. It
And
doesn't
that's
Slightly
your right.
disagree with you.
it doesn't
I
settle.
slightly dislike you.
Okay, Broche.
That's a reference to the creepypasta that the Jam fucking read once.
Which was what?
I think you might be talking about Ben Drowned.
No, the I Hate You parody.
Oh yeah, I slightly dislike you.
Wasn't there
What?
just one with a shit ton of fucking
Come.
a shit... yeah, come.
Do we have to read that on the show now? What do you say?
No.
I've already read it, but not on the show, and
Read
I
it.
feel like it may be not safe for YouTube.
Okay. Um. Because I almost I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me because I feel like I have to take the book with me. I have to learn something. You know?
Well,
And
in learning nothing, aren't you kind of learning almost a lesson about like humbleness and uh
well,
like
that in itself is a
accepting that there isn't always substance, which is almost paradoxical in its nature if you think about it.
Hmm.
The acceptance
Jam,
that
I
there
tried to get P10 to say poggers too.
no, I asked her to say a woo and she goes, "You guys are in a call, aren't you?"
I think it is a cult.
Yeah, we are in a call. And I think we may be in a cult as well.
Yeah.
I do got the recording of her saying that, but you know.
Would you?
You got a recording of her saying poggers?
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing it with me, or is that all right?
I don't know how to do it, so it's stuck there.
You know what I love
You can
about
upload it
fucking
to Vocaroo. Wait, what is it,
you
President?
know something I love on when I browse 4chan, when someone would just post an image of a character they really find attractive and say, "Would you co?" Like I browse co, and then the character and then someone would reply with the image of Chowder saying, "Would I?" Uh,
Um, the reason this doesn't, I would say that particularly the reason why this message that Kurt may or may not be saying doesn't sit right with me is because also Horror Fanatic, go ahead and use that link. There you go. It's an audio sharing website. Now you can share it. Because I remember a very specific moment in my freshman year of high school where
Huh.
I was reading and I don't exactly remember the book, but I do remember that it took place, I don't know, in the cowboy days, right? Where people were allowed to say the N-word. And while I was reading the book with the class and the teacher, I rose my hand and said that I said, and I'm paraphrasing, that nobody learned anything. That everybody just stayed the same in the book that we were reading. And I was kind of in my youth, my useful I don't know how to say it, mind. I was upset that nobody learned anything. And the teacher got a bit more upset, or I guess showed his upsetness at my question, and said, and I'm paraphrasing, that things aren't black and white, and he said it's a lot of gray. But that still didn't sit right with me, because there's a reason we're reading the book. Why are we reading this book in class, in a place where you're supposed to learn something if there's nothing to take away from the book? And I don't know, that's still in my head. That moment in class. And that's the reason why that paragraph doesn't sit right with me exactly.
Yeah. And I guess that's your right to feel that way. I would agree that, there really isn't a lot of like black and whiteness in this book. Just, well, to put it bluntly, it's a war book, which means that, things aren't really gonna work out the best, and that's okay.
Did we just end the
Yeah, I think we can end it here.
Okay.
Do you have any final thoughts, the Jam?
Well, while it was a shame that we weren't able to get through 3 chapters tonight, I still had a lot of fun reading it with you tonight.
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh, I always enjoy reading books, and while being able to talk through them, that was one of the reasons I always enjoyed the only AP classes I ever took, which were English.
And did you do something like this very similar in your classes?
Yeah, we would talk about what we thought things meant in a book, and no one was ever necessarily correct. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about literature.
Hmm.
Because, well, each book means something differently to everyone, I'd say.
Yeah. Um, I'm thinking that after, do you know what I'm going to do after we close the live streams at the end of December?
Well, if we're not able to finish the books, but the live streams don't continue, I think we can still have a VC to be able to finish what we started if you'd like.
No, I mean like we're gonna finish reading the book on the show even if it goes past December. I'm saying, do you know what I'm planning to do after the live streams?
I do not.
After the live streams, I want to basically add show notes to everything and uh, basically just add show notes and address the topics that we covered in the live shows as videos.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Do you think that we can do like some kind of review type analysis of the book together?
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
Well, thanks for coming.
Hey, thank you.
Project, that's gonna be it. I have to turn off my PC now.
Right.
All right, take care.
All right.
Take care, my high quality friend.
You too, Project. Take care.
That's a reference to the maximum quality achieved. When the text says to sleep tight, my high quality friend.
Hmm. Good night. Bye, Project.